Hello, everybody. Good evening if you are in Europe, or good morning or good afternoon if you are on the other side of the pond, so in America. Or if you are still in another continent, I don't know. So welcome, everybody, whoever wants to join me tonight. The title of my talk is your female cycle your best friend? And it's actually a question. Now, I chose this title because my pet subject is the female cycle, and I was asked to talk about it. It's a very, what to say, difficult subject to talk, because it has been taboo for a long, long time. When I say long time, I mean we can reckon at least a few thousands of years. So I suppose that now the things that are happening, as you might have noticed, are changing this, because you can see menstruation and the cycle, meaning women on their period now in the press more and more often, and so is becoming like almost a mainstream subject, which of course makes me feel very happy about it, because a few decades ago it wasn't like that, and as I was saying, it's a very dear subject, dear to my heart, and I'm going to try to make you understand why tonight. My purpose today is to manifold, but I will just mention a few. First, bring you awareness, because awareness is what makes a big difference in anything we do, in anything, the way we perceive it, and the effect that has in our life. Our awareness changes everything in our life, and it's not so much a woo-woo, airy-fairy subject anymore, because these days science is backing this up. So my purpose today is to hopefully open a window for you that it might have been open before, or it might not have been open at all. Whatever is your state, I will try to make you aware that our female cycle, it really runs so much in our body. And because it affects our body, obviously it affects our emotions, our feelings, and our thinking, and as a consequence of that, our actions. And so our actions, as you know, obviously create your life. So second, I will try to shake you from your womb, because that's such an important part of the female body. The womb is actually the lower heart of a woman. Not only is the reflection point of the heart, really, in traditional Chinese medicine, the cervix, the opening of the womb, is connected to our heart. But I personally believe that in the womb is the place where a woman keeps her dreams. And so there is a knowledge, a wisdom, an intelligence that comes from it if we connect to it, if we listen to it, and we respect it. Third, I want to put you on a quest. Why? Because I think this is the biggest quest of a woman. I will explain to you later why. A woman, when she starts her journey at menarche, which is her first menstruation, will be on a quest, if she is aware, for all those years when she menstruates. And those years are so important for her to be able to discover herself and to be able to give birth to herself. The most important thing for a woman is to give birth to herself first. And first and foremost, because if a woman doesn't give birth to herself, she won't be an inspiration to the world. And especially if she will become a mother, she won't be able to be as strong and as good as she could be if she really doesn't have deep foundation of herself. So we'll talk about this quest. Fourth point is our knowledge and wisdom that we can extract from our female cycle will give us access to our inner authority. And this is so important, especially in this time and age on our planet. I'm sure you realized we are in an emergency time, and so I think any woman who becomes more aware of her authority, it will be such an important asset for the planet and humanity. I personally think that if women had been leading, we wouldn't be in such a crisis. But this is, of course, academic, because we can't just, everybody has one's own opinion. But I think more than ever before, it's time for women to take the lead. And a leader that is different from the leadership we've seen so far. And so fundamental is for a woman to reconnect and find her own voice, her own authority. And fifth point is, by having more awareness about the female cycle, I really hope that this will give you a deeper respect for your body. This is personal, of course, but I'm talking out of experience. It definitely gave me an inner wisdom, an inner devotion and respect towards my body. I always had, but not as much as since when I became menstrual aware. And then by explaining to you what the female cycle can do for you, I hope that I will make you curious, and so you will reap your own good benefits out of this, and you will become cycle aware, and you will get your own cycle wisdom. Now, I don't know who is at the moment listening, and I don't know in which stage you are, in which relationship you are with your female cycle. feel free to send me messages or questions if you want to. Anyway, I will just take a broad spectrum. So in my experience, there are three main category that we can possibly consider. Women that suffer, unfortunately, from under the cycle, the female cycle, so every month they have problems. And so for those sisters who fall into this category, they might be interested in listening, because they might discover a window of opportunity to maybe look at it in a different way and maybe also resolve the pain. So this group of women, they might be interested because they are very motivated, they are in pain. So they want to reduce the pain or even eliminate it. There might be women that don't have any feelings about it, because for them is a no event, so they're indifferent, and so they're neither in pain or in joy. So for them, it's just another thing that happens during the month, but it's nothing more or less than this. And then for this category of sisters, I think it would be interesting for them to know more about it, because by being different, because it's not a pain or a joy, they might lose out in a huge potential that is there for them, but maybe they haven't discovered it yet. And then there possibly a third category of sister that they actually are quite happy about it, and maybe they have already a relationship with their own female cycle, but maybe they don't know much about it, and it might be a superficial relationship, or it might be something, again, is neither particularly a joy or a pain. They are happy about it because, of course, it makes a difference for them, because it's the major thing of being a woman. But they might improve their relationship with their female cycle. I call it my best friend. So they might become best pals too. And so they might benefit from this. So if I do my job right, hopefully I will give you more awareness. From that, you will be more empowered. You will have more knowledge about it. This hopefully it will give you a self-esteem, self-worth that will increase a bit. Maybe you might feel freer. Hopefully you might understand that actually if nature designed us in this way, if we follow it and we go with it, it might be advantageous. So we might experience an easiness in following this flow. And because obviously the cycle is connected with the creative process, obviously is where you can create a baby, of course, thanks to it. But it's the process that is under any creation. So we'll touch this in particular too. So hopefully you will, if you're in sync with it, you are flowing with it, maybe you might have an increase in creativity. And maybe more fun, or at least I hope so. So the female cycle will be your best friend and possibly your best teacher too. So this is my intention for today. And the results that I think is important to have, and what knowledge can bring to us is this fall out on us as women, that gives us, I was mentioning the inner authority, and with that it means a stronger embodiment of ourselves as women, and so we can be that inspiration. I was talking earlier, an inspiration for our close circles, of course, but ultimately can be the world. As women, we are half at least of the population, if not even more numerous than men. So we can have a huge impact if we want to. And this is just down to our awareness. So the other thing that I think is also related to the awareness becoming an inspiration is the fact of considering our body as a sacred space for our spirit to live in. So this is major, or this is definitely, it was and it is a major thing for me. I always had, since an early age, a devotion or an awe for my body, and I always done everything in my capability to be able to serve it, as far as I could, or as far as I knew. And I think it changed everything. That combined with awareness, it gives you a different demeanor. It gives you an oomph, an extra gear, something that other people will feel it. And these are the subtle things that they can really transform our lives to such an extent. Let's start and talk about the female cycle. I want to take you on a journey today, and quite as short as I possibly can, to explain to you this mystery. This actually is not a mystery, but somehow is the way we are designed. Our mother, or whatever you want to call it, nature designed us in this way, so that when we start at menarche and we start menstruating, then we'll basically follow this pattern, with this rhythm rather, for at least 30-35 years of our life. Some women longer, maybe 40, it depends. We are all different. The female cycle is such a personalized part of our body and our psyche, and it's so individualized, it's so personal. So not every woman looks the same, not every woman has the same cycle. But we can, though, generalized, and my intention is to give you like a template today, so that with this template you can have like a general idea of what is going on, and this hopefully will help you to understand yourself better. But my tenet is, listen, but don't believe me. I want you to then go and look, do your own research, go and look what happens in your body, because we're all different. Every month is different. We we cycle in everything. It's not just our body that cycles every month. Every different part of our body has different cycle, and plus, if we just expand our awareness and we look outside in the environment, there are seasons. So we have a cycle there, we have a year, then we have other cycles that affect our planet. Obviously, everything revolves in nature and moves around. So we have the moon cycle, we have the sun cycle. So it can be very tricky, complicated, but having this one clear in our mind, it will give us like a template that it will be closer to us, and hopefully will help us to discover what I call the 4 women that we carry inside ourselves. Who are these 4 women? Well, every month we go through 4 different stages, and these different stages can be explained quite simply with the seasons, like the season that we all know and experience. If you live in a normal climate with 4 seasons, you are very aware of spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And in case you don't, and you live maybe at the tropics, and you only have 2 seasons, the wet season and the dry season, I'm sure you are aware anyway of the 4 seasons, because with the internet these days, we all know we are all connected. So how these 4 seasons actually are linked with what I call the 4 women. Okay, let's start from scratch. You might be aware that a woman during the month has 4 phases. The biological phases are called the pre-ovulatory phase, which is the first week after the woman has stopped bleeding. And this week is comparable to the spring, the season of spring. The second week is the ovulatory phase, which is the week during which a woman ovulates, and so she is fertile and she can become pregnant. And this week is comparable to summer. Then we have a third week, which is the premenstrual phase, which is the week that prepares the lining of the womb, the endometrium, to prepare to be shed in the following week. So, of course, if the egg hasn't been fertilized, and so the woman hasn't conceived. So during the premenstrual phase, we go through an energy which is comparable to the energy we experience in autumn, like right now. And then we have a 4th week, which is the week of called the menstrual phase, which is the week when a woman bleeds. And during this week, we go through an energy that is similar to the winter energy. So I will briefly explain every season so that you have an idea of what we go through. Of course, we can go as deep as we want to into this explanation. For today, I will just be general. So let's look into spring. So it's the first week after a woman has finished bleeding. In this week, the body is waking up from the previous week, which is winter. So during this week, we start feeling a surge of energy. So we don't need to sleep so much anymore. We are very enthusiastic. We feel lots of energy in our body, mind. The emotions are positive, and we remember all the projects that possibly we have and we want to carry on, etc. So it's a very enthusiastic week, and it's a good week to resume stuff that maybe we have left aside. So our mind is clear. It's like a breath of fresh air. So we are adventurous. So we like to go out in the world and explore it. So it's a very good week for starting things or resume things that maybe we started before, and maybe to look into new things. Second week, the summer, it's really the time of the social time, or the best social time that a woman has, because nature obviously designed us this way because it wants us to procreate. And of course, to be able to do that, we have to be social, don't we? Otherwise, it's a bit difficult to become intimate with somebody and possibly conceive. So during this week, a woman is very outgoing and can be really yes woman. So everything is a yes and okay, because she thinks, she feels that she can do it all. And it really is that way. The energy is very high. So, of course, there is time for everybody. There's time to celebrate anybody else and everything. So it's a very productive time, because we do so much, and we are also very positive, outgoing, and we can be something for everybody. So a good week for carry on with our projects, a good week for possibly meetings to resolve things that might be complicated, because we are super positive and super energetic. Then the following week, we enter a different state. Is the premenstrual phase, comparable to autumn. And so in autumn, as we are now in autumn, we start to feel the chill in the air, and we know what's ahead. Ahead is winter. So we are not so enthusiastic anymore. We are more interested in looking what is in the home. So obviously, figuratively speaking, it means to look inside and start recounting our pennies or check that in the larder there are all the different foods and supplies that will help us carry on in winter. So it's a time then a woman starts feeling short of time, funnily enough, and it can be short of temper. What does it mean? It means that anything that is not relevant to her will become second citizen, right? So it means that our priority is changing, and as a consequence, we don't say yes all the time. We start saying no's, and just as well, because it's time for the no's to come, so that we can say yes to the things are important to us. Also, we start seeing the other side of the coin. So when in spring we are very enthusiastic and we see generally just the positive, in autumn we start seeing the other side of the coin, so also the negatives. So this gives us discernment, and we start spending time in deciding what works, what it doesn't work, what is right for us, what is not right for us. And so this is getting discernment. And so we are very good judges, better judges than in spring, because in spring we think everything is fine. So it's the famous season that has got bad press, and we all have heard or experienced or we know of PMS, which is premenstrual syndrome, that is also similar to PMT, premenstrual tension. Actually, there is a tension that is building up in the woman's body because, as I was saying, the endometrium is getting ready to be shed in the following week. So it's almost like the womb has got stuff to do. And so we have, as a consequence of that, less energy, and we got also stuff to do that concerns us more intimately. So that's why we are not as social as we used to be the previous week, in the previous season. So then we go into the last season, which is winter, which is the menstrual phase, which is the week when we bleed. Now, this is a very important time for a woman, because during this time of the month, if the woman is aware what's going on and she respects this phase, she is more tired and more inwards. So her inner world is much, much more important to her right now. So if she can retrieve from the world a bit, or as much as she can, and start being more focused inside, she can reap lots of benefit. This week, the body turns down the volume of the energy. So it means actually that if she sleeps more and she focuses more on herself, she can be more aware of what her psyche has got to say. It's the season when the unconscious become more open, and so there is a chance for her unconscious to become best friends with her conscious mind, which is great, because it means that we can have lots of insight. We can become more psychic naturally. So it's a time that, if it's well spent and used intimately in our inner world, we can then reap so many benefits for our life, for our body, for our emotions and psyche. Just to give you an idea of how impactful is this time of the month for a woman, in the ancient Native American Indians, they used to put little to sleep little messages under the teepee of the moon lodge, which was the tents where the women that were menstruated, they would rally together, and they would have time for themselves to rest and dream. So they wouldn't just dream for themselves. There was this awareness, was part of the whole tribe. So the chiefs would know that during this time, women could have access to the spirit world, So that's why if there were difficulties or things to be solved, they would put maybe crucial questions or problems, issues to be solved, would write it down on something and would slip it onto the teepee so that the woman could see it, and then they could dream into that. By the time they would come out of the moon lodge, they might have had the solution that the whole tribe would need. So just this little anecdote, I hope it will open a window of possibility in your mind to understand that maybe in our Western society we lost this side of things. We lost the connection with the spirit world, but not necessarily it means that we can't resume it. So this is, in generally speaking, quite succinctly, what happens in a woman's body every month. So now that you know this, can you understand that possibly you will be a very different woman in your spring rather than in your autumn or your winter or your summer? And if you pay attention and you track your cycle, your menstrual cycle, meaning tracking simply means pay attention, write it down, and see how you unfold, how you feel in every day of it. When you start doing this, you will see month after month that things might start to unfold for you. And you must start noticing maybe that certain days every month are in particular way, you feel a particular mood, or you tend to do certain things rather than others. This, within time, within years, will give you a plethora of wisdom and knowledge about yourself, which is an intimate knowledge of yourself, your emotions, your psyche, your body, that nobody can give to you. So it's like having a GPS. So on your journey, instead of just having a map but not really knowing where you are located. So you have a map but you don't really know how to use it, and you might ask questions to the passerbys, that you encounter, not really knowing what these people might know. Instead, having this template, it will give you, it's like having a GPS that really tells you exactly where you are. And the knowledge of these different seasons, which are different energies, it will help you in your life to plan accordingly, because it means that if you have to schedule, for instance, maybe something like a holiday, you might prefer to go in a time in spring or summer because you might be more energetic, for instance. But if you have to review stuff or have important meeting for work or in the family or wherever it might be, where you have stuff that really needs to be looked at in depth, it might be much better for you to schedule this meeting during your autumn, because it's the best time for you to be discerning and to have a full picture of what you got in front of you. So you might notice stuff that otherwise, if you had scheduled the meeting in spring or summer, you might have not seen or considered. And for instance, the bleeding week, winter time, your inner winter, it's very useful for so many things that might need a a bit of a hint from the invisible world. It's the time when you can have more easily access to your unconscious. So you might be aware that our conscious mind is like the tip of the iceberg. The unconscious is the major container where everything is, really. So it's a very precious time for you to use it to really have insights about yourself, your life, what are your dreams, what are your plans, what is your next step in life maybe. Or maybe if you're a mother, what it could be, you know, the best thing for you to consider for your children. Or if you're in a relationship, what is the best thing for you to, in this precise moment, you know, the next step for in your relationship. Or maybe it could be a partnership for work, anything really. So for the women who might be in pain, I had done a little calculation just to give you an idea of what it might mean if you, unfortunately, are in pain during the menstrual cycle, especially when you bleed. What's the real impact on your life? So let's suppose that you might be in pain for a couple of days. We have roughly 13 cycles a year. So we have now, if we multiply 13 cycles for 2 days of pain, is 26 days per year that you are in pain because of your cycle. And if you multiply the 26 days times 35, which is the average that a woman menstruates in her lifetime, it gives you a total of 910 days, which is 2.5 years of pain. So why I'm saying this? Because putting things into perspective helps you to see the bigger picture. It's almost writing off 2.5 years of your life just being pain. So why is that that you might be in pain? There can be many reasons, and I'm not here to diagnose what your pain might be. Also, I'm not a doctor. But what I can tell you, though, is this. Awareness is the first step to resolve anything. This is a certain fact that I experienced in my life so many times. So if you start tracking your cycle and you start paying attention and give it the right importance that it has actually in your life, you respect it, you might find out that then slowly, just the fact you're aware, you are more aware of what's going on in your body, it will ease up. I can't promise you that, but you might be surprised. And anyway, I would like to invite any woman listening to this to track her cycle. What does it mean? I can, if you send me a message, I can send you a template that I created, but you can also use a journal, anything you want, it doesn't really matter. At the end of your day, you start from day 1, which is the first day you start bleeding. At the end of your day, you just take a few minutes before putting your head on your pillow, and you just review your day, and you just pay attention and ask yourself, how was your day? Physically, mentally, emotionally. And you can summarize maybe the day with a couple of adjectives or a sentence. It's up to you. You can write as much or as little as you want. The important thing of doing this is because our memory can be fallible, and so if we write it down, and if it's succinct, even better, because then you can have an overview at the end of the month, and you can see how was the trend for you. And then doing it month after month after month, it will then, because it's in writing, you can look at it and you can compare how one month has been compared to another one. And this, it will give you more and more insights. I have templates that I can give you, and please feel free to send me a message and I will send them to you. And also I can give you this type of templates that I created that are a brief summary of the cycle, about, in the different season. And it can be maybe helpful for you to have it as a summary to remind yourself. Just send me a message and I can send them to you. But the major thing here is this: your cycle is the door into yourself. So I want to invite you to open that door and go in and see what's there for you. How are your seasons? What's happening to you every month? How do you feel? How do you react to the world? How is your inner world? It's a journey that obviously is a lifetime journey, and we can't just discover it in a few months, but that's why I'm here to tell you start it as soon as possible, because it's your apprentice. The menstruating years are the apprentice years of a woman. So if you then can reap all this wisdom for during these years, by the time you will approach perimenopause and the menopause, you will be a very wise woman. And so you will get your degree, because then it will be a time for you to be totally empowered and to own your power, and then go into the world and deliver what is in your dreams and leave your legacy. So I would like to invite you to discover your 4 different women in you, and consider that either you're a mother or not, you got a legacy to hand down to whoever you want. Why? Because you are a woman. And so I would like to invite you to consider the responsibility, the joy, and the challenge that every woman, I think, has got, especially in this crucial time on planet Earth. The planet needs us, women, to be fully embodied, to be fully authoritative within our lives, first, of course, but then also to be active in society by being a tool, a force of nature. And so I want to invite you to reap the benefits of cycle wisdom and period power. So this is my message today for you, and I hope that becoming acquainted, maybe for the first time, or if it's not the first time, maybe to have listened to this again, it will inspire you to discover better your seasons, your 4 women, and so you will enjoy your journey even better. So if you have questions, or I would like you to send them to me, and please you can send me a message on Facebook on my page, which is Gabriella Guglielminotti Trivel, or I also have a page called Flying Inspiration. If you prefer, you can also check my website, which is flyinginspiration.com, and there you can send me a message too. And yes, question, comments that you would like to receive, my templates, it's fine. I hope I inspired you enough to be able to go on your quest, discover your seasons, discover your 4 women inside of you, and to enjoy the rest of your life. And hopefully your female cycle will become your best friend and your best teacher. Thank you so much, and I hope to read from you, to hear from you soon. Thank you.